Hello. I don't know if you have had a chance to see the new film on Netflix called A Naija Christmas. If you have not had a chance, I would advise you go see the film. It's a lovely Christmas family film that I think you will love. A Naija Christmas was directed by my friend Kula Falayon, Golden Effect for Netflix. It's actually the first Netflix original in Nigeria, and Pillarcraft, we are proud to have worked with Netflix, Golden Effect, and Kula Falaya Productions on that set as a production accountant. Now, ever since the film release, I've been getting calls for basically two reasons. First is because I shocked a lot of people. Yes, I acted on the film, and a lot of people were shocked to see this boring accountant act in films. And since the film I released, I've been getting a lot of calls giving me feedback on my acting skills. And in fact, I've been getting some offers for some acting roles. So you may never know. You will see me very soon again on one of your big screen. Now, the second reason I've been getting calls is people now really wanting to know what do I do? What is a production accountant? What does a production accountant do? What is production accounting and all that? So in this video, I'll be explaining, basically answering some of the questions I've gotten and explaining those things around it. And if throughout this video I don't mention some of the things that the questions that you have, kindly reach out to me and I'll sure take it further from there. The first question usually comes in like, who is a production accountant? Or what does a production accountant mean? Now, first, I want you to put your mind on what an accountant will have done usually in an organization or a business. Just oppose that into a film set. Therefore, the production accountant usually will be the person saddled with the responsibility of managing the finances and maintaining the financial records for a film or TV production. The job a production accountant would do usually will include preparing of schedules and budgets and managing the day-to-day activities and preparation of account against the budget that has been prepared. What the job level or the involvement of the accountant or the production accountant in a production set will usually depend on the stages of the production that the accountant is involved in, the size of the production, and sometimes, especially in the context of Nigeria, the mindset, if I use the word exposure, I don't know if that is right, but the mindset of the producer or the production company to having to believe or understanding of the need to have a production accountant on set. That will determine what your role would be, and invariably, it will also determine the size of your team. Because some production really have one person acting as a production accountant and doing all the production accounting role, which usually will include bookkeeping, managing account payables, managing payroll, managing petty cash and all that. But sometimes if the production is big, you may have more than one person working in a production accounting team led by a production accountant. So the production accountant will manage people like the payroll person, an assistant accountant, an intern, an accountant in charge of payables and all that. So in a nutshell, that's what a production accountant would do, and that's how it's going to structure. To explain what a production accountant does, I think I didn't put it in the context of the stages of a film or TV production. Basically, a film or TV production will go through three major stages: the pre-production, the production, and then the post-production. Now, what accountant would do would differ based on each of the stages. And secondly, uh, your involvement as a production accountant will also usually be determined by the size of the production, the budget of the production, and sometimes also the understanding of the role of a production accountant in a production by the producer or the production company. Because in the Nigerian context, most producers and production companies don't really understand the role of a production accountant. Now, so let me now explain those uh, tasks a production accountant will be doing based on those stages of production. Now, for the pre-production stage is basically at the stage where the film has gotten a green light. Basically, green light means that there is a commitment to sponsor the film. Either there's a block fund already or there's a financer that's agreed to sponsor the film. And then the film is given a green light to go into production. Now, at that production stage, the essential skills you need how to do is budgeting. Now, but there's a specialized budgeting involved here. Now, the specialized budgeting is that you must be able to break down a script into the scenes and budget per scenes. And then the budget per for all the scenes are now accumulated into the various heads of the budget. And that's also why it's important that at the pre-production stage, you set out to do what we can call the chart of account for the production, so that budgeting can be done based on various charts of accounts. Now, once that is done and production dates and production schedule is done, film will go into production. Now, the tasks to be completing during production are also different. Now, usually during the production, you'll be doing majorly the bookkeeping because the output of a production is actually the cost report. Now, the cost report is a budget versus actual kind of report. But the main role of cost report is to make sure that you monitor costing and cash flow such that one, the production is not disrupted. Two, you can forecast when the production may outrun both the timeline set, the deadline set, and the budget set for it. So you must be able to, on a daily basis, you are doing the bookkeeping, you are paying staff, you are doing payroll, you are doing withholding tax returns, you are doing account payables, you are reconciling bank statement, you are producing trial balance, and you are producing a cost report. Now, depending on the production, some production produce cost report on a weekly basis, some on a bi-weekly basis. Now, at the point of production, you may need to build your team depending on the size of the production and the budget. Now, there are some productions that really, based on the budget, they are working on the shoestring. If one person can actually act as a production accountant and carrying off all this role. But if the production is big, it may mean that you have a team working with you. So you have a payroll specialist, a account receivable and payable specialist, you have a petty cash specialist, you have the production accountant, you have a production accountant assistant. You can have even an intern that is doing all the collection of receipts from various cast and crew, various crew and various project managers and all that. So a whole team can be built around it. But like I said, that also depends on the size of the production and the budget. Now, the third phase is the post-production. At that phase is basically auditing. Now, yes, there are things that may be going on as part of the film production that happens in the post-production, which is now editing, color grading, sound, all those other things will be going on. And then you may still be performing those roles, still paying some of those suppliers at that point, but also may also be going through a audit. Now, the auditing may be from two angles, or depending on the production also, may be from the companies or the production accountants, production companies accountants. We'll explain that later, or an external auditor, depending on how the production is. So essentially, those are the things you do for each of the stages of production, and the, should I say, the end product for each of those stages of production. And that's what a production accountant will do on a typical production. But like I said, your involvement in this product, in your production, is driven by a lot of components. So the other question I get asked is, how did I train to become a production accountant? Um, how I became a production accountant, or I became aware of, should I say, gap or opportunities in that field, I need to give you the story of how I became aware of it. In my past roles, I was the head of finance for National Film and Video Census Board. For those that don't know what National Film and Video Census Board is a government agency in charge of film and video regulation in Nigeria. Now, during while I was in Census Board, the board was going through a phase where we were initiating a new distribution framework. Now, as part of new distribution framework initiative, we set out to wanting to get the data of performance of various producers and film production companies in the industry at that time in Nigeria. That was circa back 2008, 2007, thereabout. And we actually collected some of the willing ones that were willing to share their financial statement with us, which they shared the financial statement with us. Now, when I reviewed the financial statement, I noticed one thing was that, for example, some of them didn't have their intangible asset of film properly cataloged in their balance sheet, or statement of financial position, as we call it now. And that started prompting me to review their financial statement vis-a-vis financial statement of bigger film production companies, producers across the world. And then I saw something that it's important that the industry grows with specialized people that have specialized skills in supporting the industry. And then I started by training. I went to Canada to train on how to do a film production accounting, or how to do a financial statement for a film production company, essentially. And then I started Pillarcraft. And when I started Pillarcraft, it was obvious that this gap still existed. And so I leveraged on my first training as a chartered accountant, was as an accountant. I could do the basic bookkeeping. I could do the financials of any business, or small, let me say, of business or non-specialized businesses. And then I leveraged on that to add the specialized trainings and the requirement of a film production, either company or film production into it, and that's why it is. Now, yes, we are providing these services to other production, funny enough, outside Nigeria, majorly, virtually. One or two, yes, I did one in London, small production, in independent producers and all that. But this is our first production, film production in Nigeria. And I think also that was because Netflix insisted that they needed an experienced film production accountant on set. So how can you become a film or a production accountant? First, You don't need to be an accountant. You don't need, sorry, you don't need to be a chartered accountant, but you need to be accountant, meaning that you need to have first the basic skills um, of an accountant. One, bookkeeping, payroll, tax management, preparation of books of accounts, bank reconciliation. Those basic skills, you must have it. Two, having learned it, I would advise that you maybe join a film production crew as an intern, understand how some of these things are done. Like I said, how script budgeting is done, how cost reports is produced, join in the meetings, you will understand how it goes. I mean, accounting is a practice, and as you practice, you learn more about it. Oh, so the other question is, what software do I need to learn to become a film production accountant? Now, when I was trained, actually, funny enough, I was trained in film production with Excel. But after my training, I became a accountant using a cloud software, and I became very, should I say, an expert to a very proficiency level in the use of Zero. So for Christmas in Nigeria, we did not use Excel. We use um, Zero Cloud Accounting software to do all the accounting for Christmas in Nigeria. In fact, we it was interesting because when we our first meeting with the Netflix team, and we explained our approach about it, they were really impressed with the fact that we were going to use a cloud software, and I mean, which gave us I think a bit of edge over another person that they were talking to at that time. And what we also further did, because again, if in during film production itself, there's a lot of approval that needs to go on. This will have been done doing using all these petty cash request form, procurement request form, and all that. But what we did was to introduce a cloud approval management system also that allowed the director, the producer, the line producers to approve, and also the various crews to make application easily wherever they have from their phone. So we use a software called Approval Max integrated into Zero to manage it. Now, but however, for budgeting, there is the industry has specialized budgeting softwares. Um, the one that I'm used to is called Movie Magic. Movie Magic is a very robust budgeting and scheduling management software for filmmaking. So it doesn't only help in terms of budgeting, it can also help in terms of scheduling film shooting of the films and all that. So there's a lot of them out there. You can look out for one that you, but I think Movie Magic is one of the most used in the industry today, from what I know, except I'm wrong. And that's why I built skills around it to understand how it is used. So we used Zero Cloud Accounting software all through. Um, we can use it for any film production in the future. Okay, so another question usually is what are the career prospects in film production accounting, or being an accountant, a film production accountant? Now, let me explain to you that there are two areas you could actually work as a film production accountant. Either you work with a film production companies, and I tell you there's a lot of film production companies in Nigeria. Um, uh, and so they can engage you on a full-time basis as the accountant of their companies. And then the other one is now the production accountant for film. I mean, a TV show or a film or feature film. Now, usually, in some instances, especially when you have a film production company that maybe have maybe one or two productions in a year or like that, the company's production accountant, the film production, the company's accountant can actually act or as a production accountant for if any film they're making. And the entire team from the office can come in, because usually when a film production company is having a film, there's nothing other happening in the office, major things about the film. The other one is like we do in Pillarcraft, is to provide, like on a contractual basis, a production accounting service. Now, there are advantages to this, there are disadvantages to it. The advantage from the perspective of the companies is that, I mean, they don't need to go into unusual costing and all that. The advantage for you that is pursuing a career is that at least you have a 9 to 5 that goes on every time. And when the production comes, it can come once in a year, it can come once in 2 years. You then do the production accounting for that. The disadvantage of being a full-time film production is that film production accounting is a contract basis. It's a contract job that can come, like I said, maybe once in a year, depending on how it is, or twice in a year, depending on how the production is going. And you may not have other things to do. Now, but this is where I think the industry is actually changing. Now, what has happened in the last five years is that there's a lot of changes in the industry, especially when it comes to distribution. So what used to cause producers not being able to invest in structures, in professionals, in their film production, was usually they didn't have the return on investment. But with the advent of the streaming pay-per-views, there is Amazon, there is Netflix, there is a lot of streaming views are coming in. They are able to now do a return on investment, and therefore some are now looking out to engage professionals in these areas. Unfortunately, at the moment, the professionals are not there because most people don't understand that film related accounting is a specialized area of accounting. It's like retail accounting or manufacturing accounting or construction accounting. But most people just, yes, this general understanding as an accountant is needed, but also an in-depth understanding of the industry, the relationship of the judgment calls of IFRS to transactions and all that. The treatment of transactions in your financial books are very key to being a successful accountant in the film industry. So I hope I've been able to answer some of the few questions. I mean, I picked the ones that top the list of the FAQs. And if I did not touch your question, kindly send me an email to bayode.agbi at pillarcraft.com, and then I will definitely respond to it. Thank you very much.